All right, testing. Yep, that okay. It's working. All right, hi guys. It's I, Mikiku Maggie. I'm gonna try to make. I'm gonna try the best I can to make this as brief as possible, but kind of want to like pretty much explain everything that's been going on lately. That way, everybody's kind of up to date because I know everybody that follows me on this channel isn't all on my Discord or isn't on my Twitch, so they don't 100% know like what's been going on. They don't know much about the channel and everything. I do have people that only follow on YouTube, so to kind of like make sure everybody's up to date, I'm going to give kind of a update on what's been going on in my life and everything. What's going to be going on with the channel from here on out and everything. And not much channel wise is going to change, but I'll get to that. To start off with, I'm going to go ahead and do my life update and everything. Pretty much to kind of explain why the Stupid Adventures hasn't happened in the last couple of weeks. Uh, I'm gonna explain that one in detail, kind of, but only detail enough to where like obviously it's not too personal, but to where everybody's up to date and everything. So pretty much, on the 20, no, it wasn't the 26th. It was a couple of weeks ago. How many weeks ago? I don't even think it was a week. I don't even think it was a couple of weeks ago. I think it was like maybe a week ago. Yeah, it was roughly a week ago. Oh, almost 2 weeks ago. It's been a good bit. I ended up getting a infection, and I ended up getting an infection. Well, actually, it started off as something really small, like a cyst. And it was just normal. It was just a normal cyst. And I called on that Sunday. I called my doctor. I called a like Web Live doctor because they're covered under my plan and everything. And they prescribed me some antibiotics, and they told me that if I caught a fever or anything, to immediately get like further assistance and everything. My stupid ass ended up getting a fever later that night. As a matter of fact, the people on Twitch know what night this was because I was perfectly fine in the stream up until like I noticed I was getting feverish and I started feeling really woozy. I didn't go to the hospital like I was supposed to. Honestly, I should have because in hindsight, it would have been a lot easier if I did. But I didn't, and I just decided I'm just gonna go take a shower and lay down and hope that it goes away and everything. And it did. The fever ended up breaking and everything. So I thought that okay, maybe this will like clear up on its own and everything. Because it's not the first time I've gotten a cyst. Like before, I've gotten a cyst and everything, and it's just it kind of like worked itself out. I also had antibiotics at the time for that as well. But after a couple of days, I noticed that it was getting worse. Like there was it looks like it was spreading. So after I ended up actually leaving work early and rushing to the ER to get seen by somebody, which I was in the ER for hours. Oh my god. I was there for like I want to say 8 hours, me and my roommate. My roommate bless his goddamn heart, he was like sleeping on and off in the ER because it was packed in there. Like there was people before us, there was people after us that were coming in and everything, and that were like also like slowly being brought in. When I finally got called back, they took a look at the area and everything, and it was, of course, it was definitely infected. They did like a CAT scan on it. They noticed that it was not very good, so they ended up having to admit me into surgery. And I'm just gonna be honest. Of course, I have terrible anxiety, so the thought of going into surgery scared the shit out of me. But once I was like told that I was definitely gonna be admitted to the hospital, I told roommate to go home, and he ended up calling my mom and giving her an update, and she came as fast as she could, like well before I went into surgery and everything. And thank God she did because oh my God, I would not have been able to go in there without her. She pretty much made this a little bit easier. They also told me whenever I went in that I had a really high glucose level and everything, which in the ER they told me that it's very possible that it's due to the infection itself because the infection could fuck with your glucose like that. It didn't stop the hospital from diagnosing me with diabetes, but that's neither here nor there. That's so pretty much I ended up going into surgery. Surgery went well and everything. I was on breathing treatments for a few days though because of the anesthesia. Me and anesthesia don't mix. It ended up like it was making it really hard for me to breathe and everything. So they needed to put me on like breathing treatments and everything for the few days while I was healing. It was really hard to move around. I thankfully was progressing well, but I was like in the hospital for like almost a week pretty much recovering. And that's one of the main reasons we ain't been doing stupid adventures, because I have not been available. Like last time, whenever I got the fever, that was on a Sunday, so we ended up not going doing stupid adventures because I just wasn't feeling good. And then of course the next Sunday I was still in the hospital. So that's the main reason Stupid Adventures hasn't been happening. Regarding of my health, I'm doing better. I still am fighting the infection because it was a really, really bad infection. They actually told me that the infection was so bad that if I had came in any later, I probably would have died. Which at the time had me like, oh my fucking god, oh my fucking god, oh my fucking god. But now I'm just like, okay, good. I got there. I'm alive. That's a good thing. I ain't leaving no time soon. That's good. Some people are probably like, oh, god damn it. But me, I'm just like, okay, actually, good. Little side note about me. I have very bad mental health problems, and I'm technically classified as suicidal, but in that moment, I was not ready to leave. I was like, I don't want to die. I don't want to die, dude. I don't want to die. I don't want to leave everybody yet. So, yeah, that's pretty much the update on the health and everything. As for the, glucose thing, they've pretty much just been having me take some medication and monitor my blood sugar and everything to make sure that things are going smoothly. So that regarding that, it's stable. So once the infection goes away and everything, we'll know more about like whether or not that's going to be a permanent deal. I'm hoping it's a very high chance that once that heals up, once the infection finally like completely goes away and everything, my glucose levels will go back to normal. It isn't going to change the fact that I'm going to try to be careful though. I have already been like making lifestyle changes, to try to like even it out and everything. Like I've legitimately had to change so many like snacks and stuff that I eat. But thankfully it's been really easy. And my mom and my, roommate actually are telling me that I'm actually, transitioning into this really well. But it's only because I found vanilla Coke Zero and that made it so much easier. One of my kryptonites is Coke Zero, so that was very nice to find that they have a zero calorie version of it, a zero sugar version of it, so it makes it. So I at least found me something to drink. The dietitian that came in and like talked to me about diabetes and everything actually made me cry when she told me that I couldn't drink sweet tea anymore. Like I said, hopefully this is all gonna like straighten itself out, but diabetes does run in my family, so it's very possible that this may become a permanent thing. But if it does become a permanent thing, I am prepared. If it doesn't, then cool, I can go back to eating sugar without problems. But I'll still be careful that way. I don't like overdo it and everything, because I'm going to be absolutely honest. Before I went into that hospital, I snacked heavily on sugar. I have a candy bowl in my room that's just full of like little candy bars and everything. I constantly snack whenever I'm streaming. I constantly snack when I'm at work. I always have some snacks nearby me and everything. And whenever I go out to eat, I don't tend to eat a whole lot, but I do bring home leftovers, and that gets eaten. And a lot of the stuff that I eat used to eat was packed with carbs. So it's a good thing that I have been implementing these lifestyle changes to make this a little bit easier. But I'm just hoping that once everything like blows over and everything, it all goes back to normal and I can eat normal ice cream again. But as for the channel, everything's going to go back to normal here relatively soon. I plan on doing Stupid Adventures again this coming up Sunday. I am back home, so I'll be okay on that portion. But I hadn't been back to work in the last few days or so, in the last like week or so, because of the incident that was going on. And doctors don't want me like going back to work until everything's like cleared up. Like I physically have a doctor's note that's got me out of work for a while. It's gonna be a bit hard, financially at least, but I'll figure something out. But back to the channel and everything. Stupid Adventures obviously coming back. I'm gonna try to work on some animations while I have free time and everything. Not right now, obviously, because I just don't have the motivation to currently work on anything at the very moment, animation wise. After all this, I'm probably just going to go to Twitch and like do some art, just kind of doodle and everything. Just try to get myself back in the groove of things. It's been really difficult. Like when I was in the hospital, I hated being in the hospital. I absolutely fucking hated it. Like everyone there was just absolutely pleasant. They were nice and they were very understanding, and they tried to help me through it and all everything. Like I cried so fucking much there because it's just simply because of how lonely it was. Like my mom couldn't obviously couldn't stay up there with me the entire time. She was up there for the surgery and after the surgery and everything, but she did have to go home. My roommate did pop in to visit for a few minutes every day after work. But besides that, I was pretty much there by myself. It was just me and the doctors and the nurses and everything. And it was kind of lonely. I did talk to some people on Discord whenever I got the chance. But I couldn't always do calls and everything because I only had limited data and the hospital Wi-Fi wasn't that great. As a matter of fact, my high-speed data actually ran out while I was in the hospital due to Discord calls that went on well longer than they needed to. Um, but it was incredibly lonely actually. Like the only thing I had with me when I went to the hospital, I brought myself a little sketchbook. Had a feeling I was going to be there at the hospital for a bit. I was just thinking of like an extended ER visit or possible like overnight stay, so I brought something to kind of keep myself occupied. So I had like a small sketchbook, a little notebook, um a battery pack, and my phone. That's pretty much all I had. I didn't bring anything like extra with me. I didn't have any games with me. And of course, I had my limited visitors and everything. Of course, my mom did visit the day before I got released and everything, along with my family, my stepdad, my two sisters. My roommate also visited that day as well. So I did have visitors and everything, but besides that, it was just me and the damn TV. Which was weird. It felt so weird laying in that bed watching TV because I'm not an avid TV watcher anymore. I used to love watching TV as a kid, but after becoming an adult and everything, cable's not something that I have in my home anymore. I don't actively keep cable. I just don't have the time to watch it. I don't have the time to sit down and watch it. So sitting there in that bed and watching TV was weird. Like very weird. What was I gonna say? But yeah, it was. I'm glad to be out of there. The nurses and everything, they were absolutely pleasant. And granted, if I ever had to go back to the hospital or anything, I know for a fact I would be in good hands, just simply because of how well they took care of me and everything. But granted, I don't ever want to have to go back because that was still a very tricky situation, and of course, I was dealing with a lot at once. Like, not only did they tell me that I could have potentially died if I didn't come in sooner, if I didn't come in any sooner than I did, they also told me that I may have diabetes and all that good stuff. It's kind of a lot to throw onto somebody at once, especially when you're me with very dysfunctional anxiety, which is still being managed and everything. I also had to freaking tell them over and over again because my records were out of date and everything that the medicine that I'm currently on is not the medicine that's on their records. And no, I told multiple nurses. I don't know why it took like telling 6 to 7 different nurses that I'm no longer on this medication for them to actually update the info. But yeah, it was. Mm, I'm just glad to be out of there. And get kind of back to normal and everything. Everything's kind of getting back to normal, of course, lifestyle changes and everything, but that's a given. Like I said, there's a very big possibility that the diabetes thing may be permanent. It's still very possible that right now it's just because of the infection because I'm still technically fighting it. I've been keeping an eye on my blood sugars, and since I've been out the hospital, they've been relatively stable. Like the highest it's been has been like the upper like 100s. It hasn't broke 200 or anything like that. So I should be okay. Then we're hoping, and with these blood sugar levels being the way they are, we have high hopes that once everything clears up and everything, this will go right back to normal. I'll pretty much go back to normal blood sugar wise. But like I said, as just to be on the safe side, just in case, I have been implementing lifestyle changes. So if they do tell me that this is a permanent thing, well, at least I'm ready. And I've been managing it really well, thankfully. It's just been definitely a different thing. I should have this. I'm gonna tell you guys like I told the people in the hospital. I knew eventually I'm going to get it. It runs very heavily on my mom's side of the family, and as far as I know of on my father's side as well. But I wasn't expecting to like find out about it like this. Especially since before I even went in there, I had no symptoms of of anything like that being wrong. It was just the infection. And then they told me that, and I'm like, I don't feel like this is my problem. But back to more of the channel update itself. As I stated, Stupid Adventures coming back, and Stupid Adventures coming back on Sunday, which of course that's when it gets streamed, and of course once Reese edits and everything, it gets uploaded the very next day and everything. So y'all should see the next one on Monday. what was I gonna say? Animations. I am gonna be working more on animations. Every now and then I'll try to do like a little stream on here just to kind of keep you guys um entertained and everything, because I know some of y'all don't really like to come to Twitch and everything. It's understandable. Twitch is kind of different. I, however, have had just a much better time on Twitch than I have on YouTube. And also because like my software and everything is just fun to work with and everything. And I've just been having the time of my life. Like life-wise, besides the infection and everything and the possible diabetes, I've actually been really happy. Things have been pretty good. I am still trying to manage my mental health a little bit. I actually was prescribed some ADHD medication by my psychiatrist, but unfortunately, it's the same ADHD medication that like fucked with my anxiety real bad last year. So he ended up putting it back on me and told me to like take it on a daily basis to see if it like works better, because I have a bad habit of like taking my medication and then forgetting to take it the next day. And he was thinking that maybe if I take it on a daily basis, it won't affect my anxiety so bad. But I followed the instructions, and then the same thing ended up happening again. Just this time around, it didn't happen while I was in front of a doctor who thought I was having a mental health crisis. So the moment I realized, like, noticed the signs that my anxiety is like getting worse on that medication, I immediately stopped. So I'm gonna have to tell him, hey, yo, don't prescribe this shit to me again. Trying to think if there's anything else. If y'all have any questions or anything, feel free to ask. I'm not going to try to get too personal into like exactly what happened health wise. Like pretty much everything that I explained to y'all what's going on health wise is how as far as I'm going personal wise. But if there's like anything that I didn't like mention that I can probably answer, I don't mind answering. If y'all have any questions about the channel, go ahead and ask. I'm of course going to go back to I'm already going back to like streaming on normally on Twitch. I've already done a couple of streams since I've been home, and I'm so fucking glad to be home. Glad you're all right. Thanks, Jets. The only like downside to all this is how much work I missed. Well, the only true downside, like everything else has like been manageable. The only thing that's really been bad is the fact that I've missed so much work that like next paycheck my check's not gonna exist. So I'm gonna have to figure that out, but I'll figure something out. So I'll sit here for just a second to see if y'all have any questions. If y'all have any concerns, just let me know. In the meantime, I'm just going to try to think if there's anything else I missed. I did not mean to hit the mic with this freaking ruler. My bad. Hold on. I'm just here for support. Been watching the whole time. Thanks, Jupe. I'm trying to think. Did I miss anything? I'm trying to remember if I like, no, I straight up can't think of anything to add to this. All right. I'll give it another minute. I'll give y'all another minute just to see if like anyone has any questions or anything before I end the stream. But if no one's having any questions, I will end the stream here in a couple of minutes. And excuse me, I will go to hold on. Being in the hospital is not fun. Oh yeah, no, it's not fun, especially with what was been going on and everything. It was really hard for me to like move around. It was hard for me to go to the bathroom. It was hard for me to do a lot of things. Like moving around and everything is still kind of painful. But thankfully I was prescribed antibiotics outside the hospital and pain medication along with the medication they have to manage my supposed diabetes. And in case you need help with anything, let us know. Oh, don't worry. I definitely will let you guys know if I need assistance with anything. Thanks, Jake. I'm being drugged in the hospital. Oh, you should have saw me when I came out of freaking when I came out from under the anesthesia. I was like, they had to shove whenever I was in surgery and everything, they had to shove a tube down my throat and everything to help me breathe because my mom has the same problem with anesthesia. Whenever we go under anesthesia and everything, we kind of stop breathing. It's not like an allergic reaction or anything. Our lungs we just don't continue breathing, and it has to do with sleep apnea, I believe. But that tube they put down my throat had me thinking that I was dying. Obviously they had it out of my throat by the time I had woken up and everything, but I could feel in my throat where they had it in there, and it hurt. Like anytime I coughed, it felt like I had like it felt like I had like a really bad sore throat. They gave me like some throat spray that didn't do shit. And thankfully it kind of cleared up on its own and everything, but I thought I was going to like get even sicker just because they had that thing down my throat while I was in the hospital. Thankfully that didn't happen. But what was I going to say? But yeah, me and anesthesia don't mix. And of course, like coming out from under anesthesia and everything, that was not pleasant. Like I was just laying there in the bed, I'm like looking around, I'm all like woozy and everything, and I'm like, I constantly ask like where my mom was. I'm like, where's my mama? Where's mama? Wait, where's mama? I want my mama. Where's mama? Because like I'm coming out from anesthesia. I'm in an area that I was not in whenever I went under, so I'm like obviously confused, disoriented, scared. It was also really hard to sleep in that hospital. Like my first couple of nights, I physically couldn't sleep, and it was mainly because of the sleep apnea and everything. Like legit, every single time I started nodding off, I was exhausted in that hospital. Don't get me wrong. Every time I started nodding off, I would go like this, and then I'd like startle myself back awake every single time for like 2 days. It was ridiculously hard to get any kind of sleep. I finally was able to like manage to get some sleep in the hospital, but of course when you're in a hospital and you just come out of surgery and everything and all that good jazz, they wake you up throughout the night to do vitals and other things. Like I was woken up just about every day at 4 a.m. on the dot just for them to draw blood. So yeah. They constantly had to draw blood to like make sure everything was like going good, make sure my blood count, my white blood cell count was going down and everything because it was ridiculously high because of the infection. Uh, but yeah, they also another thing about me, my veins are not normal. Like I used to give blood all the time and everything, but I kind of stopped just simply because everything kind of got in the way and also because it was just kind of hard to give blood. But it was really hard for them to like take blood from me because my veins are weird. So I still have bruises all over my arm, on both my arms actually. The IV they put in my arm too, they had to put it in a really weird spot. So I'm bruised there too. I still have bruises on my arms from the IVs and all that good shit. And I'm like, or they were not pleasant. Like thankfully they don't hurt unless I like press them really hard. But they're ugly. They are ugly. Like I told them straight up whenever like after a few days of being there, I told them like people are gonna think I'm shooting fucking drugs with the way my arm looked. My arm was so bruised. Ugh. Oh yikes, Volt. Jesus Christ, I just saw that. I had to put under by force when hit by a car. Jesus Christ, I've thankfully never been hit by a car, so I don't know how that feels, but I know it's gotta hurt, so I feel bad. I'm sorry that you had to go through that. Uh But yeah, it's just been kind of a roller coaster while I was in the hospital and everything. Uh, they also had me on because of the like possible diabetes. They had me on a low carb diet, so a lot of the food that I was getting and everything was like food that I don't normally eat. Well, actually no, some of the actual food they brought me was fucking bussin'. Like once I seasoned it a little bit, it was fucking bussin'. Like they brought me for meals like lunches and everything. They'll bring like whole meals, like with a meat, some kind of carb and some kind of vegetable, which was pretty good. Um, the dessert alternated. The only thing that I got dessert wise that I actually liked was the Jello that they brought me because it was like sugar free Jello, and it was the cherry flavor that I liked. They brought me a different flavor one time, and it was just kind of weird tasting, but the cherry one was fucking delicious. Um, Food wise though, they brought me like I think there was one diet they had a hamburger steak, it was mashed potatoes, and they had I think it was corn, not corn, some kind of vegetable on the side. It was either green beans or carrots. I believe it was green beans. But that shit was good. That shit was so good. I'm sitting here like, well, damn, shit. Like hospital food, been told multiple times is terrible, but that was actually pretty good. And not to mention, they also had like a dietitian come in every day, or not like a dietitian, but like I don't know what the fuck she's called, term wise, but they would come in and ask like what we wanted to eat that day. They'd give us options like between two options, and it'd be like one option versus this option, and I'm like, can we do this option or anything like that? And it was still customizable. Like if there was something I didn't like on it, we could definitely request it. Like, for instance, one of the things that I would get for breakfast, which unfortunately I shouldn't even have been given because of the fact that they actually have a lot of natural sugars, and that's fruit. Um, One time they asked if I wanted like a little fruit plate for breakfast, and I'm like, oh hell yeah, I'd love a fruit plate for breakfast. And that fruit plate had like cantaloupe, honeydew, strawberries, and grapes on it. The strawberries themselves I didn't really care for because those strawberries that they had in that hospital were just a little bit more sour for my liking. So whenever they asked again like what I wanted for breakfast, I said, "Can we do the fruit plate but like without the strawberries and um a little light on the grapes because the grapes that they brought in was like the like purple grapes, which are the ones I don't really care for. Or red grapes. I don't know which ones exactly they are. But they were like a purplish red color, so I'm not certain exactly which ones they were. But they also were a bit on the sour side, so I didn't really care for them. The green grapes are good, but not those. But that was an option. However, the next day, whenever they brought me my breakfast, of course, it was a much smaller portion of fruit because they told me, like, straight up, you honestly shouldn't even have been offered this option because of the simple fact that this is packed with sugar. Um, but they brought me that and they let me have like a small bowl of like Rice Krispies, which was actually pretty fucking good with like a sprinkle of Splenda on top of it. Oh, that was good. So thankfully, like with the options and everything, it just made it feel less like I was in a hospital and more like I was just somewhere else. But it was great. It was well, I'm glad I'm out of there and everything. But they did take really good care of me. So if anything ever happens, I know like if anything ever happens again, I'll know they'll take care of me again. Um, and once again, do y'all have any questions before or anything before we end the stream? Because I do need to get to get I do need to get to doing other things, but I want to make sure that everyone's like got their questions answered. If need be, if anyone has any questions after the stream, they're more than welcome to comment. I will keep an eye on my comments and everything and respond as soon as I possibly can. If it's a question I can answer, no problem. If it's a question I can't answer, we can try to figure out we could try to figure it out, but I know besides that, I think that's about everything. Just keep an eye out on the channel and everything. Stupid Adventures is coming back now that I'm back home and recovering everything. Hold on. Speaking of Splenda, I remember someone who put it on a lollipop saying it'll help with this diabetes. That is not how that works. Not Oh, son of a bitch. Yep. I definitely gotta go because that is a doctor calling me. I will talk to you guys later. Like I said, if you have any questions or anything, just comment. I will respond as soon as I possibly can. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for understanding. You guys have a lovely day. Maggie loves you bitches.